with that, we are underway. Thank you very much to the Marshall University cheerleaders. Well, good morning. It's good to see everyone here. It has been quite a few days around the campus at Marshall University. Everybody has been in a great mood. In fact, even the squirrels get standing ovations these days. There has been a whole lot that happened seemingly very quickly, and it didn't really go that way. There are a lot of folks who have put hours and hours into today's events, and we're going to hear from some of them shortly. I'm Steve Cotton, the radio man for the Thundering Herd, and again, welcome to everyone here. We are going to hear from the four men on this podium. After that, we will open things up for questions from those in attendance here. Following that, it'll be opened up to questions from people joining via Zoom and that sort of thing. And then the media will have an opportunity for some one-on-one interviews after that. So without further ado, we will bring up our first speaker. Keith Gill has been looking at college athletics from just about every angle since his days as a football player at Duke University. He has worked at the NCAA National Office. He has worked on campuses, including time as the athletic director at American University and also at the University of Richmond, and then most recently at conference offices in the Atlantic 10, and since 2019, commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference. So let's welcome our new commissioner, Keith Gill.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's so terrific to be here. So every day I start my day with a morning walk, and so this is my first time on campus. And so this morning it was great. So it was kind of a crisp morning, and I got a chance to get out and get on campus, and kind of snuck into the football stadium and got a chance to see that, and snuck into the basketball arena. And I just want to remark that you have such a beautiful stadium, beautiful campus, and I'm so glad to be here, and then I got a chance to get a sneak preview earlier today. So as was noted, I am the commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference, and so I'm so excited for the opportunity to work with all of you as we work through this transition, and welcome you as new members to the Sun Belt Conference. And so on behalf of the Sun Belt Conference presidents, chancellors, and director of athletics, I want to officially announce that Marshall University has accepted our invitation to join the Sun Belt Conference, and will be a new member joining no later than July 1st, 2023. I also, obviously, as alluded to earlier, you don't get to these points without folks that you need to thank. And so I do want to acknowledge a few folks that we certainly work closely with through this process. So first one is Patrick Farrell, the chairman of the Marshall Board of Governors. I just appreciate our conversations and your candor. And as we kind of work through this process, really helpful and instrumental getting to this point. Also, President Jerome Gilbert certainly couldn't have gotten here without CEO leadership and many conversations with that. I also want to congratulate and welcome President-elect Brad D. Smith, and we're really looking forward to working with you as we go through this transition. And then Interim Director of Athletics, Jeff O'Malley. And Jeff and I have been talking a lot, and so I thought at some point I was calling him so much he was going to stop taking my calls, but he never did, and I'm really appreciative of that. So I would be remiss if I didn't also thank our Sun Belt leadership. So, and particularly our CEOs and our ADs who kind of spearheaded this process, but also the president of the Sun Belt, Dr. Kelly Damphus, who's the chancellor at Arkansas State. So he was instrumental in our kind of process as well. So when realignment started, our goal was to identify institutions that could bring value to the Sun Belt. We felt really good about the 10 football playing schools that we had and 12 all-sport members, and felt like we were in a position of strength. But we certainly knew that there could be institutions that would add value to our conference. And Marshall does just that. We just think about the 2 national championships you have in football. Football is key, certainly to this arrangement. It's not the only thing that's important, but it's a very important part of it. The 17 bowl appearances that you have, and winning 75% of those postseason games in FCS is pretty impressive, and certainly that tracks with kind of the Sun Belt's success as well. Men's basketball obviously is an important part of this, and you advanced to the second round of the NCAA tournament in 2018. And so from an academic standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, but also an academic standpoint, Marshall fits kind of really the Sun Belt kind of mission and values and goals. So, the best part about that is with me standing here today, the Sun Belt got stronger. So Marshall is going to bring so much to our conference. We are so excited to have you as part and as member of the Sun Belt, and we just got a lot stronger today. And so we thank you for that. And the interesting part is, a few, I guess it was 2 years ago, we don't have men's soccer currently because our programs kind of went away and our affiliate members. And now, when we restart it with the addition of Marshall, and we have some core programs with it, we're going to be one of the best men's soccer conferences in the country, kind of right off the jump. So we're really excited about that as well, and about the process of restarting men's soccer. So that'll be a lot of fun. So you're joining a conference that's strong. Football leads FBS and bowl winning percentage. So Sun Belt's number 1 in that. We're just under 80% winning in our postseason games. We currently have 2 teams ranked in the top 25 of the AP poll. Our basketball continues to improve, and we're a multi-bid baseball conference typically. And last year, our softball got 4 teams into the NCAA tournament, and we won 3 of those opening games. So we're really excited about this partnership. This is a great day for the Sun Belt Conference, and like I said, we got much stronger today, and I think it's a great day for Marshall University, and I think you're going to love being a member of the Sun Belt. So thank you so much for your support. Looking forward to working with all of you, and go Herd.
Thank you, Commissioner. Marshall did not have time to get ready for this move when all the news started happening this summer. Marshall had to be in position already. And that goes in no small part to the leadership we've had in the last 5 years under Dr. Gilbert, who has made a lot of changes on this campus and had the Herd positioned to be able to make this move. So let's welcome Marshall President Dr. Jerry Gilbert.
Good morning. What a great day for Marshall. Today is a new beginning for Marshall Athletics as we make our way into the Sun Belt. We've had our new beginnings before as we've gone to other conferences and as we've come back from tragedy. At Marshall, we always are looking to the future with excitement and with hope. Our goal for over a year has been to position Marshall so that we could have regional opportunities for play and for rivalries. The Sun Belt Conference gives us that prospect as we join the Eastern Division. Joining the Sun Belt is going to present stability with tremendous options and opportunities for Marshall to strengthen its brand. I want to thank Commissioner Keith Gill, Chair Patrick Farrell, AD Jeff O'Malley, new President Brad Smith. We were all involved in those discussions. We think we have come to a great result. Also want to thank the presidents and the ADs of the Sun Belt that reached out to us and encouraged us and gave us information about making this decision. I can tell you the future is definitely bright for Marshall University and its athletic program. Go Herd!
I'm sure you have heard the biography information of our next speaker quite a bit the last few days. So let's welcome Marshall's president-elect, Brad Smith.
Well, there's been a lot of news the last couple weeks, and I would say it ranks Sun Belt Conference, Squirrel, and somewhere way down the list are some other things. I have to say this is an amazing day, and I want to echo what Steve said about these tremendous gentlemen here, as well as Patrick Farrell. There had been a lot of work that had happened before I had the opportunity to sit down on Friday and look at all the options. One of the things I always say, it's important in a decision to make sure you have clear principles, that the right voices have been incorporated into the decision, and you know the timeline. And everything was teed up. It was very clear. We went through the options, and at the end of the day, there was an obvious answer, and that answer is where we are today. I am so excited for our fans. Talk about an inclusive process. I think the voice that mattered most had been heard loud and clear, and I couldn't walk anywhere on Saturday in the Jones Stadium and not have people come up and celebrate what they knew was going to be an amazing next chapter for this university. So I'll conclude by saying this. John F. Kennedy once said, I'll paraphrase, "The sun doesn't always shine in West Virginia, but its people do." Well, wait till you see us shine as we join the Sun Belt Conference. Go Herd.
Over the last couple of months, when I have seen Jeff O'Malley, he has been coming from or going to a meeting. He's had the phone to his ear, and I wouldn't even hazard a guess on the number of hours he has put in on that telephone, talking far and wide to a lot of folks. So let's bring up right now Jeff O'Malley.
Thank you, sir. True story, Steve. I got, right when the conference realignment hit, I have an unlimited phone plan. And after about a week, I got a message saying that I'm going to be charged $50 because I went over my minutes. And I went down to AT&T, and they're like, man, I've never seen that before. So they obviously said it was a mistake. So do we have, Commissioner Gill, I want to present you with a little something for your office. So you have a little Kelly Green in there. This is a piece of Bunko glass. It's a West Virginia company. I'd like to welcome everybody to this historic and transformative occasion for Marshall University and Marshall Athletics. I have to admit, when I took over on July 1st, I did not envision standing in front of you 4 months later making an announcement that we were going to be changing conferences. But however, here we are, and we couldn't be more excited. When we embarked on this journey to make the best decision for our school, our athletic department, staff, coaches, student athletes, and fans, we wanted to be thorough, deliberate, and thoughtful. I felt from the beginning that Marshall was the most uniquely positioned school in conference realignment for a number of reasons. That held true throughout the process, and we are thrilled with the fit that we have found in the Sun Belt. This was a comprehensive process, as been mentioned before, with many people who deserve credit for Marshall and the Sun Belt being here today. First of all, Commissioner Gill and your presidents, thank you very much for the invitation and the belief that Marshall University is a strong brand and would bring value to your league. The other is Patrick Farrell, your leadership, thank you throughout this process. We've had many conversations throughout this, and I appreciate your leadership. Same with Dr. Gilbert. We've had many, many phone calls. We added to those minutes on my phone, and we counseled each other through this process, ever-changing process, which often changed hour by hour. Brad Smith, thank you for your quick and decisive decision-making on Friday that led us here today. Very much appreciative and looking forward to working with you. And I wouldn't be here today, and we wouldn't be here today without, our athletic staff. Some of these people were fantastic throughout the process. David Steele, Beatrice Crane-Banford, Scott Morehouse, Chuck McGill, and Jason Corrier for putting this on today. Thank you for helping me through this. I threw a lot of scenarios at them, again, that changed hour by hour, and you were able to get me the information I needed so that we could present it to the decision makers and get us here as well. And lastly, I'd like to thank Conference USA, Commissioner Judy McLeod and her team, as well as the athletic directors, my fellow athletic directors in that league, who have embraced me in the last 4 months and counseled me through this process. It's been a great fit for Marshall, but now it's time to turn the page. We made this decision on Friday. There was no doubt that we had chosen the best path for Marshall. Everyone in the room agreed that the Sun Belt was the best fit. That said, when I walked the West Lot prior to Saturday's game, and the excitement, the anticipation and positive vibes about this new affiliation was unlike anything I had ever seen. And it was a clear affirmation that, in fact, the Sun Belt was the best fit for Marshall athletics. I'll gladly answer any questions from the media and anyone else here later, but let me pose the first one. Why the Sun Belt? First and foremost, this was the best move for our student athletes. They are why we are here. The Sun Belt will offer our student athletes the best possible experience athletically and academically. It's a great fit regionally for Marshall and Huntington, West Virginia, which will help our student athletes when it comes to travel and academics. It is a highly competitive league in all sports, which will raise the bar for our student athletes and our programs, as well as compete at the championship level. As the Westlot story showed, our fans are obviously excited about the move. I have received positive feedback in phone calls, texts, emails, and tweets. We heard you. Herd fans are clearly nostalgic about some of the old rivalries we get to restart, and there will be tremendous new rivalries built along the way. Like our student athletes, the regional feel will help our fans when it comes to travel. The television and broadcast potential is through the roof. Herd fans, get used to these 4 letters, ESPN. The Sun Belt's relationship with the worldwide leader in sports is strong, and that was really appealing to us throughout this process. This year, we put every men's soccer and women's basketball game on ESPN+, and we even streamed a women's swim meet last weekend. Marshall has a tremendous national brand and a national following, and it's important to us for our fan base to have this relationship. It will also help in terms of recruiting and increasing student enrollment to have our teams play on the biggest national stage. The answer to the question, what channel is the Marshall game on, just got easier. Every game televised through the Sun Belt package will be found on one of the ESPN family of networks, and that's music to our ears. This is also the best decision for Marshall from a long-term financial perspective. Will we have to step up? Absolutely. But the move to the Sun Belt is about progress. It's about moving forward, it's about potential, and it's about growth. We want to elevate Marshall University and Marshall athletics, and the Sun Belt offers us the best way to do that. There is no doubt in my mind that the best days are ahead of us. So I'll end on this. The key word in there is the best days are ahead of us. This is going to take all of us. We need to lock arms and work together to move the school we love forward. We need our fans like never before to show up at all of our away games. We need we need our donors like never before to step up and help us achieve the greatness that is in front of us. Marshall University is a special place with special people, and the vision of these men sitting to my left is ambitious and exciting. Thank you all for coming today, and go Herd.
All right, folks, as Steve indicated at the beginning of the show, we're going to take some questions, and these 4 gentlemen here will give their answers from their seats right there. The questions, the ability to ask those questions are open to everyone. For media members, we ask you please state your name, or everyone asks to please state your name, and for media members to state your affiliation as well. Please utilize those 2 microphones right there down front. And we're going to begin with questions in person here, followed by those that we have on the Zoom. So don't everyone race to the microphone at once.
Yes, this is Grant Traylor with HD Media. Question for Commissioner Gill. I know that there's been wording no later than July 1st, 2023, and it seems, especially in Old Dominion's release, they were discussing a move earlier. What would it take for the programs joining the Sun Belt Conference to institute this earlier? And for President Gilbert, President Smith, are there financial implications involved in that?
Yeah, I think from our perspective, we're just flexible and open. So we want to do what we can to support each one of the schools in the transition. So we know sometimes transitions can be hard when you're remaining in the other conference. And so we don't want to do anything, obviously, to undermine Conference USA in the current conference, but we also want to make sure that we're making plans so that there's a smooth transition depending on what timetable will be best for Marshall and any of other new members.
There could be some financial consequences of an early entry into the Sun Belt, but that would be dependent on the circumstances that would allow that to happen. So it would be difficult to project that. But yes, there could be, but there could also not be. So at this point, it's hard to know.
Yeah, I think, as President Gilbert just said, we're going to have to make sure we look at how things unfold with the current conference. Obviously, we're all excited to get to the Sun Belt Conference. But one of the things we talked about is how you choose to leave something will be remembered just as much as what you did while you were there. We want to make sure we honor Conference USA, make sure our student athletes, our coaches are prepared as we make the transition.
Good morning, gentlemen. Paul Swan, WRBC and Kindred Communications. We mentioned soccer earlier, and I know that was a big component in Marshall's decision. How much went into making sure that Marshall had a home for soccer, especially as we see that beautiful national championship trophy here?
It was extremely important. I mean, these moves are obviously, football and basketball centric at times, but for us, the men's soccer program was extremely important to us. I had Coach Grassi informed on this process early on and what the ramifications of each move would be. So I took his advice as we were going to get through this process, and we felt comfortable with the direction that the Sun Belt was going. But it was very much right at the forefront of the decision making.
Tom Bragg with 24/7 Sports for Mr. O'Malley. Throughout this process, we heard about Marshall having good options. There were options on the table. What was it about the Sun Belt versus those other options that ultimately led you guys to go down this path?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in the communication I had with Commissioner Gill, almost every conversation started with brand, right? And we were a great national brand and a great fit. And that was so great to hear, because it was about us, it was about our student athletes, and it was about our success, and it wasn't about our media market, and when you look at our success, the teams that left Conference USA to go to the American, I mean, in football, we were 28-11 against those teams. So, and this move to the Sun Belt was about that success and the success of all of our programs. And that was really enlightening, and refreshing to hear.
And for Commissioner Gill, back on the subject of soccer, you mentioned the league restarting it. Is there a timetable for that? Would it be 2023 when Marshall rejoins the league? And there's several current Sun Belt members that have soccer in other leagues now. Are those teams in the fold? Are they coming back into the league for soccer?
Yeah, so when we started, yes, so we'll have those teams that are kind of core members right now that have men's soccer kind of in that conference, and we'll start it, I'll say as soon as practicable. So certainly once everyone joins the league, we'll start it then. We'll probably file the paperwork in February, to be honest with you, just to make sure that we're ahead of the game in that regard. But we'll be ready to go as soon as all the men's soccer programs kind of transition in, and then the 3 core members that we have, those will kind of transition in as well. So.
Good morning, Justin Zimmer, WMUL. Just a quick question for Jeff O'Malley and both President Gilbert and President-elect Smith. How much of this deal was based on the new broadcast contract with ESPN, and just like the national brand, and just the overall timeline of the deal before it was completed Friday?
It was very appealing to us. I mean, the feedback we get from our fans all the time is they can't find our games, and to be able to click on one app on your phone or your iPad or your smart TV and click on that ESPN icon and be able to find every Marshall and every Sun Belt game was extremely appealing to us. And that contract runs through 2031, right, Commissioner?
2031.
2031, and it was a long-term deal, and it's something that's going to be on the table for quite some time.
So I mentioned stability, and having that stability of a long-term TV deal with ESPN was appealing to us, and I will reiterate with what Jeff said. Our fans were frustrated on finding our games, and this is going to make it much easier for them.
Really nothing to add. I would say it was one of the important principles that we had up on the whiteboard when we went through all the options. But I can also speak personally, having been in California for the last 15 years, I'm looking forward to watching a game on something other than Facebook, so it would be great.
Grant Traylor, HD Media again. Just clarifying something from the Board of Governors meeting earlier in which everything came about. The fees involved in moving to the Sun Belt Conference, both the exit fees and the entrance fees for going to the Sun Belt.
Well, the Sun Belt has waived the entry fee. There is an annual fee of $80,000 for membership, which is less than what we were paying previously. There is a exit fee that is a forgoance of the revenue distribution of this year and the next year. So those fees would be monies that we would not get from Conference USA, roughly $3 million.
Correct.
Courtney Hessler with the Herald Dispatch. What kind of implications will missing out on that $3 million have on the athletics program?
We'll have to tighten our belt a little bit. I mean, our budget, we did a great job with it. I think last year was a great training ground for us, trying to get through the pandemic, and we did so, very well. But we'll have to tighten our belt here the next 2 years, to make up that difference of $1.5 million. So.
Grant Traylor, HD Media again. Just for, this is sort of a little bit more general with Mr. Gilbert and Mr. Smith working together on this project and you all getting to know, how much has this transition sort of strengthened your all's bond moving forward as you all transition this university forward?
Well, I'll say that we had a pretty strong bond before, and certainly having Brad involved in the discussion was important, I thought, to look to the future, and we see this Sun Belt move as a look to the future. We think it's going to pay dividends many times over, and I wanted Brad involved so that he could have his fingerprints on this as well as mine as we go into the future.
And I would say that's the reason why we have such a strong bond. It has been a privilege to support President Gilbert for the 6 years he's been the president. We've had a very good friendship. We've done a lot of meetings together, traveled together. He's been to California. But these kinds of decisions are decisions, universities only have one president at a time, and he is our president. And he could have made this decision, but he actually asked to hold off so that I had the opportunity to weigh in, and that's the kind of character we're talking about, and that's why we have such a strong friendship.
Okay, at this point, we'll take questions from the Zoom. Again, for a reminder for those on the Zoom, please remember to use the raise hand function to ask your question. I'll call on you. And then please remember to mute yourselves when not asking the question. So we will start with Jim Workman. Jim, please unmute.
Thank you. Commissioner Gill, I have a question for you. With Wally's attending Sports Digest and also the West Virginia Sports Writers Association, will there be opportunities for Marshall University and Huntington, West Virginia to host Sun Belt Conference championship events?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, most of our championships are played at neutral sites. So we only have 3 championships that are not played at neutral sites. So that would be football is hosted on campus, outdoor track is hosted on campus, and softball is hosted on campus. And we're actually working towards getting softball to a neutral site. So, so certainly in those 2 other sports, in football and outdoor track, but the other sports are neutral site championships.
Do we have any other questions from the Zoom? Hearing none, we will close today's proceeding. Again, reminder for media members, we will have one-on-one opportunities here down front. Thank you to everyone for coming. Go Herd.